Well, hello and welcome to another offering for the living of these days, Love Poems to God edition. And the title comes from the poet Rainer Maria Rilke in his Book of Hours. Absolutely beautiful text of devotion, and these poems are beautiful conversations between Rilke and God, poetically. It's Rilke's journeying with God at the time of his life as he wrote these poems. So I thought for tonight I just was led to read five offerings from his love letters to God as devotional. But I really want to invite all of us, as I read each of these, I invite you to find these poems also reading you and begging the question, what are your love letters to God? Or how is the conversation these days? If they're not love letters, are you on speaking terms? But in that relationship with the divine, it's okay. As long as you're journeying, as long as you're moving and seeking God, even in the dark. So I want to invite you into a conversation with God. Explore your feelings in your relationship. Is your relationship with God strained or non-existent or wounded? Or is it joy-filled, magnificent, growing, loving? I invite you to spend time exploring who God is in your life. Where do you experience God most fully? Where do you feel far from God? When do you feel far from God? And how is that homecoming, if you have one, when you finally reconnect to the divine? So I just present these five offerings from Rilke as a conversation starter. With maybe a word or silence in between each, but I just wanted to just let these words mind your life as Rilke explores through his journey of faith early in his life. So let us begin. I just invite you to center yourselves and breathe. And concentrate on God's proximity to you and your proximity to God. The first offering. Rilke writes, "You, God, who live next door, if at times, through the long night, I trouble you with my urgent knocking, this is why. I hear you breathe so seldom. I know you're all alone in that room. If you should be thirsty, there's no one to get you a glass of water. I wait, listening, always. Just give me a sign. I'm right here. As it happens, the wall between us is very thin. Why couldn't a cry from one of us break it down? It would crumble easily. It would barely make a sound." Hold that thin place, that barrier that with a whisper, a prayer can come tumbling down. The next offering, Rilke writes, "I am, you anxious one. Don't you sense me, ready to break into being at your touch? My murmurings surround you like shadowy wings," God says. "Can't you see me standing before you, cloaked in stillness? Hasn't my longing ripened in you from the beginning as fruit ripens on a branch? I am the dream that you're dreaming. When you want to awaken, I am that wanting. I grow strong in the beauty you behold, and with the silence of stars I enfold your cities made by time. I hear this as God beckoning to us, as God's poem to us. Don't you sense me, ready to break into being at your touch? That could be taken both ways. The next offering. I love you, gentlest of ways, who ripened us as we wrestled with you. You, the great homesickness we could never shake off. You, the force that always surrounded us. You, the song we sang in every silence. You, dark net threading through us. You began yourself so greatly on that day when you began us. And we have so ripened in your sunlight, spreading far and firmly planted. And now in all people, angels, Madonnas, you can decide the work is done. Let your hand rest on the rim of heaven now, and mutely bear the darkness we bring over you. The song we sang in every silence. The next offering. I have hymns you haven't heard. There is an upward soaring in which I bend close. You can barely distinguish me from the things that kneel before me. They are like sheep. They are grazing. I am the shepherd on the brow of the hill. When evening draws them home, I follow after the dark bridge thudding, and the vapor rising from their backs hides my own homecoming. I hear this as God again, as shepherd. The mystery of God. And lastly, only as a child am I awake and able to trust that after every fear and every night I will behold you again, Lord. However often I get lost, however far my thinking strays, I know you will be here, right here, time trembling around you. To me, it is as if I were at once infant, boy, man, and more. I feel that only as it circles is abundance found. I thank you, deep power that works me ever more lightly in ways I can't make out. The day's labor grows simple now, and like a holy face held in my dark hands. When words don't come so easily, poetry gives expression. So I encourage you to write poems, love letters to God, just pouring your heart or your fears or your anxiety or worries out to God as a prayer. Get in touch with the art that is in you. And find that relation kindled. But even when it's dark, and even when it's cold and lonely, trust that the divine life is right next to you, in you, and surrounding you. So, until we meet again, I encourage you to write.